If we want to see the history of how the Jewish community views their artists, we can take a look at the Drake and Pusha T beef. During this beef between the two, Pusha T was able to find a photo of Drake, who was half Jewish, wearing appeared to be a blackface. His rebuttal and excuse was that he was bringing light to African American actors that couldn't get roles. Many fans didn't accept his apology and felt that he was using this as escape. Roseanne Barr, who deems herself a rabbi, also believed that African Americans were subhuman and related to the tribes of apes and monkeys. In Judaism, a rabbi is a teacher of the Torah. The basic form of the rabbi developed in the Talmudic era. Once learned, teachers would use the Talmud to codify Judaism, written and oral laws. Israeli Chief Rabbi Yitzhak Yosef says, "Rabbis come out of the Talmud." Israeli Chief Rabbi says, "It would have to be a Negro whose mother and father are white. If you know they had a monkey son, such as a son, then you'll give a blessing." Roseanne Barr was also very clear, comparing Valerie Jarrett to the Planet of the Apes. According to Britain's biggest Jewish newspaper, Jewish News Online, one of the most famous rappers in the world right now is a from Canada. Drake, who grew up as Aubrey Drake Graham, he attended day school in Toronto, Canada, and once rapped about his bar mitzvah on Saturday Night Live.
That's what I get for marrying a black guy.
That's what I get for marrying a black guy.
He appeared on the cover of Vibe magazine wearing a diamond-studded chai. The chai is a symbol that goes back to medieval Spain. Letters and symbols in Jewish culture have always been their source of communication. The Talmud states that the world was created from Hebrew letters, which form the verses in the Torah. In medieval Kabbalah, the chai represents the lowest emanation of God. Drake is a Jewish puppet, no different from the shameful Roseanne Barr. Here is a picture of Drake and MSNBC Joy Reid, both pledging allegiance to the Bohemian Grove Owl. As I once discussed before about the connection to the owl and its connection to the Bohemian Grove, this is a pledge to the Moloch cult of the Bohemian Grove. There are such things as Minerva seals, and here is one which belongs to the Illuminati. The acronym PMCV stands for Per me caceat vident, which means in Italian, through me the blind become sighted. An owl holding an open book signifying learning surrounded by a laurel wreath, which is also a symbol of learning or graduation. PMCV was a reminder to the superiors of the class whose responsibility it was to properly instruct the Minervals. These medallions were worn around the necks of Minerval initiates. In 1990, Pharrell started out in the heavily fortified military intelligence complex city of Virginia Beach with the R&B group called the Neptunes. The Neptunes developed into a duo group, Pharrell and Charles Edward Chad Hugo. Hugo, who is Filipino descent, along with Farrell, who is also half Filipino. Hugo's father was a U.S. naval officer and his mother worked at a laboratory. Farrell and Hugo met at a special summer camp for the gifted and talented kids. Virginia Beach is known to be the home of the Naval Air Station Oceano that supports the Navy's Atlantic and Pacific Fleet Force of strike fighter aircraft. However, the Neptunes is a strange name to go by for a punk R&B rap group. Neptune is a very extremely complex and important god of the sea. He is depicted on Master Mason Jay-Z's Magna Carta Holy Grail album cover, also given the name Alpheus and Aretheus. Drawn from ancient mythology, Alpheus is a river god, son of the Titan Oceanus and Tethys, his sister. He pursued the nymph Aretheus, which was bathed in its waters. She noticed that the river was in love with her charms, and taking fright, fled away. But the river pursued so hard that the poor nymph had no choice but to invoke Diana. The goddess, touched by her situation, carried her to another country. The river lover did not consider himself defeated and insisted mingle with its waters with these of the nymph, while Aretheus fountain is near Syracuse in Sicily, and Alpheus River flows in Greece. The marriage took place probably by special permission of the god Neptune. Neptune is an Olympian god connected to the stars, Kemetic goddess Neith, and the lost continent of Atlantis. He is also the counterpart of the Kemetic god Sobek and Greek god Poseidon. Neptune was the brother of Jupiter and Pluto, each of them presiding over the realms of heaven in our earthly world and the underworld respectively. Amphitrite was his consort. It is apparent that for some reason Farrell had been exposed and deeply immersed in the occult and Egyptian Greek Roman mythology at an early impressionist age. Special summer camps for gifted, intelligent, and talented kids was a prime recruiting grounds for CIA MK Ultra programming perhaps. In front of convicted billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's Owl Temple sits two statues of Poseidon with trident spears. Apollo and Poseidon work closely in many realms in colonization. For example, Delphic Apollo provided the authorization to go out and settle, while Poseidon watched over the colonists on their way and provided the lustral waters for the foundation of human sacrifice. All of the Greek and Roman gods mentioned demanded or welcomed human sacrifices of ancient days. Many know that human sacrifices and blood rituals along with sex magic took place on Epstein's Island.
Any comments on the alleged allegation of your connection with Jeffrey Epstein?
Israel's ambassador to the Poseidon Island cult is former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Barak also pandered underage children to Epstein's Island as well.